Hey there! Before we dive into today's episode, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you're helping us spread the word and connect with more amazing people like you. Plus, you'll never miss out on any of our future episodes. Thanks for your support.
Welcome to We Pärents, where parent doctors Matthew Letterman and Alona Pulde explore current parenting topics, share stories, and help bring families closer together.
Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for listening. We are really excited to be here on another episode of We Pärents. I'm Dr. Alona Pulde.
Hi, I'm Dr. Matthew Letterman.
Okay, let's get started with our headlines and heartlines.
Headlines and Heartlines.
This is where we play with ideas, we answer your burning questions, we tackle some current events, and we find the balance between taking things seriously and keeping a sense of humor.
I had the morning of a lifetime, and not in the good way. I was just running around for whatever reason like a chicken without my head. Or just thing to thing to thing. And every time I was thinking I got something accomplished, 4 more things would come on, and the kids needed this and work needed that. And there was the insurance got stopped and this alarm, this fire. And it was just crazy. And I was just trying to keep it together. And I was more and more vigilant around trying to control my environment to try and prevent things from happening. And the more I tried to control, the more stuff, it was almost like the universe was testing me and saying, oh, you think you can hold 40 things? Well, how about 45? And I'd be like, okay, here we go. Come on, hit me with it. And I was trying to drop the kids off and get something delivered to UPS, but I had a 5-minute window before the kids had to be in. I'm like, can I make it? And I'm like pulling in and trying to run to the UPS store and just trying to fit it all in. And I'm like, I can handle it. I can control it. It's going to work. And when I'm running in, all of a sudden some guy started running after me, and I'm like, oh my God, someone's coming after me. But he was actually holding something, and it was my wallet. And I was like, oh, wait a second. So I stopped trying to run away from the guy chasing me and ran back towards him. And I said, oh my God. He goes, here's your wallet. You dropped it. And I was like, almost wanted to cry because it was such a relief to think that someone else has got my back too. Like that whole morning, I was just trying to take care of myself and figure it out. And as things were added, I was trying to figure out myself, and I was trying to control my environment to make it all happen. And I wasn't able to do it. And even when I thought I had this sort of illusion of control, I didn't have my wallet, and I would have no idea. You imagine having to try and go and get all the credit cards stopped and do all that stuff. Goodness. It would have been a mess. And instead, the universe just said, hey, Matt, slow down, let go. There's other people that have your back as well. And it was like just such a wonderful eye-opener to be like, you don't have to get it all yourself. There's other people here so that when you need a little support, they're going to help you out.
What a lovely thing to just take in is, there are people that care, and they are out there. And
you're not alone.
Right. You're not alone.
I mean, afterwards, I went to the UPS store and I went back in to find this guy, and I went up to him and I just gave him this warm smile and thanked him. And I was like, I almost had a day that was unrecoverable, and you doing that just meant so much to me. And I don't think you realize how much this helped me out. I mean, I'm getting a little bit of tears now just thinking about connecting to this guy. And that all he did was give me my wallet back. But it was so impactful for me at such a time where I needed someone else to carry some of the weight, that I'll really never forget that. And it also reminded me to say, hey, you know what? Stop trying to control everything. Like, it's okay to let some things play out, and it's going to work out okay.
I love that story. What a beautiful heartline.
Yeah, no, my day has been going better since.
I can imagine. Thank you,
the kids
Mr.
were,
Wallet Returner.
Because I was thanking the wallet returner, the kids were about 5 minutes late to camp. But at that point, I was letting everything go, so we were good.
Yes. You were admitting that you were no longer in control, and that was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of not being in
And
control.
actually, just one more thing, though, it was really impactful to share the story with the kids because they didn't know what was going on. They could see that I was tense. They could feel that I was tense. And then when I shared what was going on and I shared how touched I was by what this guy did for me, it really contributed to them, too. Like just seeing humanity, seeing the impact of caring for other people. So what I also noticed was sharing all of that with them. And they tended to calm down when they could understand where my tension was coming from. So it was also nice to debrief with them and mind for a little bit of connection opportunity there as well. And I think that's helpful to point out too.
Absolutely. And I love that you brought up a couple of things. One is the mirroring of tension, that when we have it or when our children have it, how we mirror each other's tensions and how uncomfortable it is when you don't have a source or an understanding for what is happening. And that naming it, just naming it and acknowledging it helps to build a connection versus dismissing it, ignoring it, pretending it's not there, creating that state of artificial harmony where we say, oh, everything's fine and okay.
Right, because there's an incongruence.
Right.
And that when there's an incongruence between what you're picking up from that person and what is coming out of their mouths, it's very, very scary and uncomfortable, or it can be scary and uncomfortable, especially for children. But even with me and you, we've been married 16 years, and I think I just got it yesterday, that I can be grumpy or irritable, and if I tell you that I'm grumpy or irritable, that's actually going to help you feel more calm and safe and connected than if I try to hide my irritability or grumpiness. And that took a while because I grew up in an environment where irritability and anger was scary or violent or at the minimum uncomfortable. And to be able to name it versus try and hide it was counterintuitive for me.
Yeah. And also the reverse of that, if you name it or call it out and then get shamed for it or reprimanded or punished, then you quickly learn, no more. I'm not sharing that anymore. I actually have two opposite stories that just came into my head. The first around doing just that, shaming someone for, and that would be me. And maybe that's a great opportunity to go into our cheers and tears. This episode of We Parents is brought to you by We Calm, the child calmer designed by doctors and loved by parents. Struggling with bedtime routines or managing your child's anxiety? We Calm transforms deep breathing into a fun and engaging activity, helping kids find their inner calm. Perfect for bedtime stressful moments or any time your child needs a little extra help to stay calm. Visit webecalm.com to learn more and bring tranquility to your family.
Cheers and tears.
Cheers and tears. We're jumping right in.
We're jumping right in because it really fits. But in Cheers and Tears, we take a moment to celebrate our successes and acknowledge our struggles. We share something that went really well and something that didn't quite go as planned. And it's all about learning and growing together. The two sides of this, going back to what you shared in Headlines and Heartlines, was last night we went to see Peter Pan at the Pantages. And Kylie and Jordan, our 10 and 12-year-old daughters, are in a 2-week camp right now for their own musical production of Legally Blonde. And so it's very fast-paced how quickly they have to learn their lines. And they both have pretty major roles in the show. And by the time they get home, they have a couple hours to practice, and then it's bedtime and dinner's in there somewhere. And anyway, they are expected to know most of their roles by this Friday. And we're going to see this show last night. And Kylie was not happy about it because she really wanted to practice her lines. And she's watching the first part of the show with a death stare, like she is being punished. And then, sure enough, come intermission, she looks right over at me and says, "You know, Mom, I would have rather stayed home." Yeah.
And I was in the middle, literally in the middle of this. And I'm like,
yes.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I could totally feel Kylie's pain. And then I could totally feel Alona's pain.
You felt the ignition,
right?
It
was a big mushroom cloud right in front of me.
Yes.
People, the people in Peter Pan were all staring at us. It was
yes.
fireworks, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that was me. I was like, are you kidding me? Really? You would have rather stayed at home. I should have left you at home. And of course, something similar came out of my mouth, which is, yeah, well, next time you'll stay home and Dad and Jordan and I will go. So, And sure enough, neither one of us felt great about that. And the message that I gave Kylie is, please don't ever share your unpleasant feelings with me ever again. So that did not go over well at all. Now, we resolved it. It became a cheer at the end. And you know what? Kudos to Kylie, because Kylie was the one that actually came up to me at the end of the show and said, "Mom, I'm really sorry. I regret what I said." And I was so touched, first of all, by her coming to me versus me coming to her, because we both went at it for sure. So we resolved it and we both shared our regrets. But I think there's a piece in there that if you continue to give that message to a child, they're going to very quickly learn, don't share unpleasant emotions. Even if you have that look of death, what comes out of your mouth is, nope, everything's fine, which is that incongruence that you talked about. And then the opposite side of that, which I was sharing with you, is Jordan, our 10-year-old, who has this incredible ability to share when she's grumpy and under-resourced. She'll just walk into a room and say, I might be a little grumpy because I'm a bit under-resourced, or I'm hungry, or I'm tired.
What is under-resourced? We taught them that, but under-resourced is tired, hungry, needing to move around, thirsty.
Right. Showing up with lower energy, or your battery is not full.
Right. You're just not in your best state.
Right.
So you could use a little grace, a little support, a little understanding.
Yeah. And when she's able to name that, there's something inside of me that just automatically calms and naturally allows space for that emotion without feeling triggered or nervous or scared. So I think there's a real value in that ability to name and share an emotional state, even if it's unpleasant.
Yeah, it's very regulating to know what another nervous system next to you is experiencing in that moment. And Jordan really has been a role model for me around that too, which is just saying, hey, I'm feeling really grumpy. And I even check in with them. I'll say, hey, I'm feeling grumpy and I'm curious, how does that feel when I share that with you? Do you like it when I share, or would you rather me keep that to myself? And they always say, I'd like it when you share, Dad.
Yeah. I bet that's really regulating also to them. As I noticed it is for me when you share or when Jordan shares.
It's also helpful when you get a heart hug, right? Like in episode 1, if you get a heart hug in response versus somebody asking, well, why are you grumpy? Or why are you angry? Or what do we need to do about it? Or it's the 3rd time you've been angry this week. So it also depends on how somebody responds, because I know for me, there's a lot of inner critic going, which is, you're irritable again? Why are you irritable all the time? So if you have any response, or the kids have any response like that, I'm going to shut down and definitely have a harder time sharing next time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's a balance there, a collaborative opportunity, which is in that moment, it might feel really good. It will feel really good, and it'll feel affirming to get a heart hug and validating, and even invite future shares like that. I think once the situation has settled or passed, there's an opportunity to revisit it in a way that also feels good for the receiver. So there's a difference between just naming the emotion and then also expressing it outwardly toward someone else. So they feel like they're blamed or shamed or... Does that make sense?
So how you share it is important too.
Right.
If they create a story that they're being blamed, it's going to be harder for them to be present and hear it.
Or to give a heart hug. Correct.
So that would look like, hey, I'm angry because you did this.
Or I'm feeling angry and then needing to protect that space by being aggressive towards someone or being terse in your responses to somebody else. Is there a space to be with your unpleasant emotions without having that seed into your interactions with other people? And I think when we can name where we're at, it makes it easier to still approach other people with kindness and compassion versus when we feel like we have to have those unpleasant emotions and protect them by a harsh boundary, that interaction will seem different.
Can you give an example?
Yeah. So if I am feeling angry and uncomfortable to share that, or I'm feeling angry and ashamed and not ready to talk about it, I'm more apt to push people away. I don't want pity. I don't want compassion. I don't want to talk about it. And I want you out of my space. And whoever the receiver is of my anger is going to feel that. In that space, it's harder to give a heart hug or to have compassion for where I'm at. Because that receiver, the message in their mind will be, I didn't even do anything to you. Why are you treating me like that?
I'm having a hard time relating because I've never done that before.
Yes, never, ever, ever. Which is why we're having this conversation.
Is there something you want to tell me? No, I totally get that. If that anger is coming out and it's pent up and I think there's something wrong with it, and then I don't trust that you're okay with it and I'm judging it, then it's going to be like, yeah, I'm angry. Why do you keep asking me? Or
right.
Something like that versus just, yeah, I'm feeling a little angry or grumpy right now. That stable,
right. And you
place.
Trust you have the space to have that emotion, so then you can come to the others with compassion and care.
Yeah, I like that.
So I love that. And it serendipitously leads us into our topic and tool for the day.
Topics and tools.
In topic and tool, we dive into a key parenting issue, examining its significance and the challenges it presents. We then equip you with a practical tool to effectively address this in your everyday life. So let's get started.
So today's tool is called the gift. And this came out of the idea when Marshall Rosenberg, the creator of NVC, said that expressing your needs. So if you have needs that were not met, for example, I was really needing more consideration and care or warmth or kindness, expressing that to somebody else is a gift. And he would say that you should express that with what he would call Santa Claus energy, where you would say, ho, 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 I have an unmet need and I would love to share it with you. I bet you're very excited. And when I would hear him talk about that, it didn't quite make sense in my body, even though in my head I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. But I couldn't get my body to really trust that somebody would think that what I was sharing was truly a gift. But I thought about it some more, and I said, how cool would that be if we could bring that into the family where sharing unmet needs really were experienced as gifts? Because it sounds great on paper, but how does it feel in real life? So then people would ask, well, why is it a gift?
Why is it a gift, Matt?
Thank you. Because to me, this means they care enough about the relationship to take time and energy to let you know how we can care for them. So you're letting me know, hey, this is how you could better meet my needs if you give me that gift, if you tell me your unmet needs, versus hide it, suppress it, triangulate and tell everybody else about it, but not me. And that you're coming to me trying to bring our relationship closer versus creating some enemy image of me that is almost hopeless and is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I love the fact that you come, and it also lets me know how to do things differently versus having to guess.
I love that. And the reason that I said it serendipitously leads into, it brings us back to the cheer and tear, is that you talked about having unpleasant emotions and wanting a heart hug, which is explained more in episode 1, but really a space to just hear you. So let's say you're irritated and you have that space that you're being heard, but you're also still projecting that anger on others. The opportunity to come back to you later is this, the gift, to come back and say, hey, I know that you were irritated and upset, frustrated, angry, whatever the emotion was, and I have a gift for you.
And that gift is truly a gift. And
Yeah.
we talk about this with parents, doing it with kids, but me and you do it with each other. And when someone says, hey, I have a gift, I really do get excited. I also shift. I'm like, oh, this is something that's important to them. They might be a little nervous to bring it up, but they want to with this energy, and that they feel safe enough to bring it up. So they care.
Yes.
Right. They care enough about me. They care enough about our relationship. They're going to help me care for them even better. They feel safe enough. Like, how is that not a gift?
Right. And it's given with the intention to enhance connection, not to shame, blame, criticize, judge you for what happened, but to really say, hey, there was an opportunity to do this differently in a way that could allow you to feel the way you were feeling and also meet my needs for consideration or respect or care or whatever those needs that were not met by the situation that actually happened.
Exactly. And that's why talking about it from a nonviolent communication perspective is so powerful, because it's not that you did something wrong. It's that you did something that happened to not meet my needs. And now that you're aware of it, I would love if you would do it differently if you're willing. So it's not that this is the way I'm telling you is the right way, or the way you did it was the wrong way. It's that this way meets my needs, and if it meets your needs too, then isn't this a fantastic way to go? Do you understand the difference there? Is that making sense?
Absolutely, I understand the difference. And I think it's really important to name what happens in so many situations where the gift is not practiced or given. And you mentioned that a little bit, is you don't have the opportunity to do it differently. You have no clue that somebody would have even taken offense or wished that it were different. There's a creation of artificial harmony with a lot of resentment, anger, judgment, criticism, enemy images, where we start seeing the other person as an enemy or with disdain. And so there's a cost, a significant cost to not sharing that. So really, in giving the gift to somebody else, you're giving a gift to yourself too, which is the opportunity to maintain the connection that you desire with them.
Okay. Well, let's go through the steps of the gift.
Yeah.
Because then it can be used in so many different formats.
Absolutely.
We use it with each other. We can use it with the kids. Kids can use it with us. Sometimes one of the kids will talk to one of us about the other parent, and we'll say, oh, it sounds like you got a gift for them. Mm-hmm. The other parent, they love gifts. What do you think? So the gift is a couple of steps here. The first is to just say, hey, I got a gift, and for the other person to react super excited. So you really want to create that Santa Claus energy.
This is really important at the beginning. You don't have to do cartwheels 3 months into it, but at the beginning, it has to be an excited, welcomed space.
Right, to build that trust, because at first, kids are going to think, well, I'm telling you something that I don't like about what happened, and I don't know how you're going to be excited to hear this. And in the past, maybe you weren't excited to hear about this, because if you got defensive or you blame them, then it's not going to go well. So the gift is, oh my God, I'm so excited you have a gift. I can't wait to hear what this gift is. I'm going to sit here. I can hardly wait. Please tell me as soon as you're ready. Then I want to tell them what I heard their feelings and unmet needs were. So once they say, Dad, here's your gift, and here are my feelings and unmet needs. For example, I was promising my daughter Jordan to play with her some handball outside, and she went out to wait for me, And I said, I'm just going to finish this work call. I'll be out in a couple of minutes. 20 minutes later, she comes back in, and I was on another work call, and I got distracted with work. And she looked at me and goes, Dad, I have a gift. And I said, oh my God, I'm so excited. I can't wait. I can guess what it is, but I want you to tell me because I'm so excited. And she looks at me, and that's where she told me her feelings. And Dad, I'm feeling really frustrated, and I'm really upset because we had a plan to go out there, and I was out there for 20 minutes, and now I'm all sweaty and hot, and we didn't get to play, and you're busy with your work. And I told her, I said, oh, I get it. Thank you first. Thank you so much for giving me this gift. I am so excited for this. And I'm hearing how frustrated you were and your need for trust and reliability and for me to follow through with what I said. None of those needs were met. And that feels wonderful to receive. And I asked them, I said,
so you're guessing at what those needs are. So for any of you hearing this and wondering, how do I even begin to know what the needs are that are not met? You can go to our website, webetogether.com. In the resources section is a document of feelings and needs. It's a really awesome one to print out, especially as you're becoming familiar with this vocabulary, and just have around with you in these opportunities to look and see what feelings are they having and what needs might correlate to that.
They have feelings and needs for kids and feelings and needs sheets for adults. It's the same feelings and needs, but it's language that's a little shifted, and there's pictures. But it's really helpful to be able to do that step. So guessing at what their unmet needs were from what happened and the feelings. So we're empathizing with that. And then I make sure I got it all. And they'll tell me yes, or they'll tell me, oh, there's some more. And then I empathize with that. And then I ask them if I can share my reaction, which I did with her. And I said, hey, first off, again, I reinforced how excited I was. I want to say thank you so much for this gift. I haven't gotten a gift in a while, and I'm so happy. This tells me how much you care about the relationship. It's helping me care for you better. It's helping me clean up my mistakes. Thank you, thank you. And then I shared my regret. Hey, I really have regret. Knowing what I know now, I really would have liked to put that call on hold and kept my agreement with you. Or I could have come out and stopped my call and said, hold on, I have an agreement. I need to see if I can make a new one with my daughter. But that would have met needs for consideration for my daughter and the person on the work call. We could have worked something out. But instead, I didn't do that. And then I thanked her. I asked her, I said, how was it to hear? And she could tell me how it was to hear that. And then I thanked her again profusely for the gift.
So I just want to summarize just what those steps are. Letting someone know that you have a gift for them.
Right, and getting excited.
Getting excited around the gift. Hearing what the gift is.
Which is their unmet needs and feelings.
Right. Identifying those or guessing at those unmet needs and feelings.
Which is empathy.
Empathizing with that and checking in to see if you're accurate or if there's more. If there's more, you're hearing more and repeating those steps. And then
your reaction.
And then sharing your reaction and making sure that you're thanking them so that they really see how much you value receiving this gift.
Exactly. So that is really helpful. And like I said, a gift can come directly from my daughter who knows about it. When we first started, I was asking and explaining what a gift was and asking her if she had a gift. Sometimes Kylie O'Jordan will come to you or me and say, can you believe what Mom did? And I'll hear them. And then after it'll be like, it sounds like you have a gift for Mom. And they're like, but Mom loves your gifts. She just gets so excited. Don't you want to give her one of these gifts? And they're like, okay. And they give it, and then they'll come back to me and say, Mom was so excited about the gift, Dad. And I'll be like, yeah, I told you, she loves them. And she'll say, okay, but I don't know anybody else who likes these gifts, Dad. And she goes, there's something wrong with you guys. And I said, no, I think that once parents connect to how wonderful these gifts are, they'll get just as excited too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you went through that and talked through the steps and gave the examples. And now if we were to go to no skills versus pro skills.
No skills to pro skills.
We highlight key aspects of addressing an issue with and then without connection skills.
We could even use the same example.
Right. What would that?
So no skills, which I can do pretty well here. So, so if Jordan came in and said, Dad, or maybe Jordan just looked angry. And I'm like, oh. And then I start to feel the shame of missing the agreement with my daughter, the inner critic going on about how I'm an incompetent parent for putting my work before my kids, especially when I had an agreement with her. So all that's coming up inside of me. And to make that go away, I might just try to ignore it and pretend it didn't happen. So that's an example of no skills, where you just hope it goes away and we don't talk about it. Another example would be coming up to her and saying, sorry, but, right? Like, oh, I'm sorry, but I'm so busy with work. So there's no acknowledgement of her feelings. It's all about me.
Right.
I'm sorry. I know we had that thing, but if I don't do it, it's really important work, a really important job.
Right. Getting defensive or justifying what you're doing.
This matters the most. Or if she's angry and walking with a huff because she's hurt ultimately around her need for mattering. And I'm like, why are you getting all upset? You know I have to work. I have to make money for the house. I got to provide for the family. And then it's a judgment and shaming of her.
Right.
Why can't you think of other people other than yourself? The world doesn't revolve around you. I could go on and ever with the no skills here. So we'll pause on the no skills here. What's the point of this podcast again? Is it to increase skills? All right. So pro skills. So what would the pro skills look like? You want to take a shot?
Yeah.
I'm still stuck in the no skills.
I was like, yeah. I bet a lot of people were as they were listening. But yeah, so the pro skills is that opportunity to really go through the gifts and see the information that a child or a partner is sharing with you as a gift, as a care for your connection. And you summarize that in how you did it with Jordan, which is expressing, one, thanking her, then two, expressing regret over the way that it played out. You might even share in that moment, oh, I got totally lost in work and things have been really busy. And there might be room for compassion for you as well, right?
You can even ask for that.
Right.
Once you're done giving them their gift, right?
Right. Once you're done kind of receiving the gift, because my guess is that in most of these situations, the receiver of the gift is already kind of feeling bad about the situation. Like in this case, you already knew as soon as Jordan came back in, oh, man.
Yeah, I missed that one.
And I wish I had done that differently. And there were, just like you said, so many ways to do that differently. Going out and telling Jordan, hey, I'm really sorry, but I got this other call I must take. Can we pause and come back in an hour? Or however that played out. To, I can't do it today, even though I said I would. There's so many different opportunities there.
Right. That to me is another pro skill that you just pointed out there, which is I could still take the work call and meet my need for her care, consideration, mattering by saying, hey, Jordan, I know we had this agreement and this work call came up and I'm feeling really torn, which is actually episode 2, right? I'm feeling really torn around my work and playing with you. Can we figure something out? Or can I come back to you after my call? I don't even have time right now because I realize this call is so important right now, but you're important too. So can we circle back in about an hour?
I love that. And that's the collaborative approach. And there's this really beautiful trust that's built in there, right? Because a lot of times there might be a hesitation to say that because it's going to get reactive or it's going to become a bigger issue versus that trust that, oh, we can get to this. We can figure something out that works for both of us.
Right. If it gets reactive, that's usually a sign that there's deeper pain in there that can actually be uncovered through this happening. So even that's a gift because one, if you show your care and that they matter, often they can hear a lot more than you imagine. People forget to make that care and mattering really clear. And if they still go to a hurt place, that's okay. That means there's a lot of mattering and care that hasn't been met for them. And we can tend to that.
So many gifts.
Exactly.
Yes, so many opportunities for gifts.
So how do we bring this home?
Yeah, bring it home.
Bringing it home.
Let's talk about how to bring this into your family. And I was thinking as you were sharing the difference, our girls felt a lot more comfortable initially giving you gifts. And I think a big, big reason for that is how you approached it at the beginning. When you introduced it to the family, I remember every night for months, I think, I heard you go into their room before bedtime and say, okay, does anybody have a gift for me? And
Yeah.
I really recall that and thought, wow, that is really cool. And at first, the girls hesitated a little bit, but then weeks in, I'm hearing a gift here and a gift there and your excitement. And it was really beautiful to see how comfortable they became sharing gifts with you.
I'm taking that in. I have a sweet smile, happiness feeling right now because it's this recognition and acknowledgement of the work that I've done. And I didn't realize you saw that or knew that. And just celebrating that right now feels wonderful. So thank you.
Yeah. And I remember feeling some sadness around that they weren't as comfortable coming to me with gifts. And I owned their worry, oh, mom's going to get hurt. We don't want to hurt mom. But I was losing out on this really big opportunity to connect to them and to learn how I could do things differently to actually meet their needs. What was mattering to them that I wasn't attuned to because they weren't sharing.
It's so powerful, even though it sounds simple on one hand. And I remember doing that where every night I was, I know you have gifts. And they would be like, what are you talking about? This afternoon, I know I had tone. I remember having some tone. Isn't there a gift there? Like, oh yeah, Dad, you're right. But you had tone and it didn't meet my need for respect. I'm like, oh, wonderful. There's my gift. And then I'm like, do you have any other gifts? And they're like, no. And I would point. So I had to actually help them. We had to explain what a gift was, explain the steps. I had to then make time every night to ask for them. I had to actually help them figure out what they were. But now, boy, do they have a good understanding of gifts. And it built so much trust. It was wonderful. I would never do it differently. I wish I had thought of this sooner. But they, not only are they good at giving gifts, I just gave Jordan a gift yesterday evening when she had tone with me because I moved her table around and it was totally against the wall. And she looks at me and has tone. She's like, Dad, would you put that back when you move something? And I was like, okay, Jordan. And then I came up to her later and I said, Jordan, I have a gift. And she already knew what it was. And she was like, oh, yeah, Dad, I totally get it. Thank you so much, Dad. And she goes, I know I had some tone before. And I was actually just very hangry. And sometimes I have a little tone when I'm hangry, but then I had a snack.
Sometimes.
All the time. So for people that hangry is hungry and angry, or angry because you're hungry, right?
Yes.
But she took it so well because it's just this back and forth. So it builds a lot of trust both ways. And really inviting, that was another piece, is invite the family to collaborate. So who wants to be able to share some unmet needs and upset? We have this great tool called the gift. And when we tell someone we have a gift, the other person gets so excited to hear it. So does anybody want to try it? We're inviting them. We're not forcing them. And then they get to see it. You saw me do it with the kids. No one forced you to do it. You wanted to be part of it. And the kids, Jordan saw me doing it with Kylie. It just continues to spread.
Right. And the invitation is not, I'm giving you a gift to criticize, judge, or blame you or shame you for something. I'm giving you a gift as an opportunity for us to connect on such a deeper level, to enhance our connection. And when you look at the gift with that intention, there's a total difference. That allows you to receive it as a gift.
Exactly. And we model them with each other. So that's another way to bring it in the family is Alona and I give each other gifts and the kids see that. And we definitely encourage it from each other. We practice it. Sometimes when I was starting, I would what I call fire drill it. And I would make up a gift just to see how people would respond and play with it.
Matt would be yelling at our children.
I'd be like, I think you have a gift now. But it creates this ease and comfort around unmet needs and unpleasant
playfulness around it too, to make it comfortable.
Yeah. And then the most important thing is when someone has a gift, to celebrate it. So that's another way to bring it in the family, is just high five, get so excited when they bring it up, get so excited when they finish. I give her a big hug and I thank you so much for giving me this gift. And early on, the more you do that, the better. So that's enough fun for today.
Before we go, we like to leave you with that one last thought.
Just one last thing.
A key takeaway or an inspirational message to carry with you.
Yeah.
So, Matt, with all of that, what would be your one last thing?
Celebrate your child's unmet needs as precious gifts. For each one shared is a step toward deeper connection and a stronger, more understanding relationship.
I love that. I resonate with that. And I truly invite you all to try the gift.
Me too. And we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear cheers, tears, all of the above. Please email us at parents@webetogether.com. You can also send any questions or stories you'd like to share. Your experiences and feedback are invaluable to us. So thanks again for joining us today, and we look forward to connecting with you next time. And one last request is that if you're enjoying this podcast, we would love for you to take a minute to rate and review us, share things that you liked, anything that you'd love to hear more of. It really helps us improve and also helps other parents find us. So the more ratings we receive, the more people will hear about this podcast, and we just can't thank you enough for your support and for being part of our community.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the We Be Parents podcast. To hear what else Doctors Matt and Alona are up to, visit us at webeparents.com. Remember to try something you learned today. It just might be the first step in a new relationship with your kids.